So here we're going to do the warm-up for injury prevention and concussion prevention. So 4 columns, or even number columns. And then we're going to start with the first core exercise, of which there are 4, and then 6 disciplines which you follow. Okay. Are you ready, boys? Off you go. Superman push. So this is a Superman push. You're going to try and keep, it's a diagonal line, opposite leg, opposite arm, pushing into each other, make it slightly competitive, whilst pushing down to the ground to keep the core. When that side fails, you then change over sides, boys, change sides, to make sure you're then working the opposite diagonal and core. Pushing into the ground is what you're trying to achieve. Okay, boys, up you get. So you're coming out, open and closing the gate, yeah? Up to 22, 7 steps sideways, at whoever's the column 1's command. Away you go.
Feet, fire!
So they're walking out. Big high loops with the knees. Every few steps. Opening and closing the gate. Into nice and high with those knees, boys. Out to the 22, and then column 1 will say which way they're going backwards. They then take 7 steps sideways and then come back. So they keep command, listening, keeping the line following. So it's a line, it's not a race. Following that line all the way back, and then they're going to form up ready for the next one. So keep facing forwards all the way back. So that is, you can do it in 2s or 4s as long as it's even numbers. Okay, forming up. Next one is high 5. So next core exercise is high 5, please, Max. So that's why you need a metre gap between each layer. Slow clap of hands, maybe, but it's slowness of pushing down into the ground. Shoulders and hips stay together. It's inside and outside of your feet. So therefore keeping a straight line between the spine and down the side. So you're keeping those things moving together. Not a waffy waist, strong in the waist all the time, keeping that strong column. Okay, boys, up you get. Next exercise is jogging out to 22. When you're ready, column 2's in charge. So column 2's in charge, giving a description about when they're going to sidestep, which way they're going to go, left or right, backwards. And off they go. Okay, all the way back. That's it. So up they go. Keeping that form. Keep them facing forward, and then they're going to, as they come back, they keep that straight line all the way back. Column 2's in charge all the way back, keeping that line. Forming up for the next core exercise, which is aeroplane, pushing aeroplane. So Superman push. Sorry, this is competitive aeroplane, my mistake. So you're making like aeroplane as described by McGill, core stability exercise, trying to keep a flat back, not a rounded back, we have that there. Charlie, guilty, please, come on. Flat back, strong in your waist. So the weight bearing hip should take the strain, and you feel it in your arse cheek on the weight bearing side, trying to get that flat. Max, get that flat, so your pelvis is flat, yeah? So it should be flat back, trying to get right angles at the hips if possible. Okay, up you get. So column 3's in charge, high knees. So all they're going to do now is jog out to 22, high knees, nice high knees, working the hip flexor muscles. So column 3's in charge, bossing that all the way back as well, so which way they're going to go backwards, left or right, keeping the line, keeping that continuity, keeping the space between players. So it's coordination, listening commands, getting that brain, core stability muscles and peripheral muscles warmed up. Last of the core exercise is stirring the pot. So stirring the pot, so it's a press up position on the forearms. Circles, big circles, ankles and knees that move, big circles. Pushing down to the ground, press up position. Who's at the back? Oliver, you all right? Bad curry last night? No, we'll get your arse down, come on. Nice big circles. Okay, that'll do. Up you get. So next exercise is knocking shoulders. Which way? So all they're going to do, column 4's in charge, I believe, this time. So at the 22, they're going to change over shoulder, which they're knocking. If it's the left, they're going to change over to the right at the 22. So they're all going to go out to the halfway and then come backwards that way. So off you go, boys. So at the 20, that's it. Every few steps, it's about the landing, not the collision. About balance control. It's all about balance. At the 22, they're then going to change over to the other shoulder. That's it. Then at the halfway, they then have the command about which way to come backwards. Column 4 is in charge on this one, being the 4th of the exercises. Keep that line, boys. Keep the coordination. Keep the gap between players. So a nice line on the way back. Column 4 is bossing that all the way back as well, keeping control. Forming up, back to the first of the core exercises. Superman push. It's about pressure into the ground, diagonal lines, pushing into the ground. You should feel it in your undercarriage. Come on, Mike, hurry up. That's it, off you go. When you fail, change over sides, so you keep on changing sides. So you get nice diagonal lines working. So back to the first of the core exercises. So there are 4 core exercises, back to the first one. Trying to keep that, so you shouldn't be able to push over at all. Change over, Oliver. That's it. Pushing into the ground. Right, you get, boys? So the next exercise is turning around each other, so they're coming out, and so column 1's in charge. You're going round each other. Yeah. So when you're coming out, where you go when you're ready.
Feet, fire. I'll stop first.
So nice command about who's going to stop first. Facing forwards all the time. Every 3 or 4 steps, they're stopping and changing.
Stop.
So one person goes around the other, facing forwards all the time. They're therefore going to have to go, when they get to the 22, they're then going to change. If it's clockwise, they're then going to go counterclockwise. So they have to go all the way out to the halfway on this exercise to make sure they can get both clockwise and counterclockwise directions followed. And then they've got command of column 1 to follow all the way back on this exercise at column 2, isn't it, I believe, sorry. So this is the penultimate exercise to follow. Again, it's not about speed, it's about coordination, keeping the gap between the players. Column 2's in charge and bossing this all the way back, following it back all the way, so they should all arrive back at the same time. Okay, forming up. Last of the core exercise, high 5. So you need that gap between each layer, meter gap between each layer. Not too fast, nice and slow. Keep the core working. So pushing into the ground, keeping that nice line again in core stability, which is down the spine between the legs, down the waist into the thigh. So that should always remain. So the pelvis and the hips. So the pelvis and the shoulder blades, shoulder girdle move together. Right, boys? Now, the last and the hardest of the exercises, which is sidestepping. Column 2's in charge. You're going to say which leg you're going to step off and which direction. So therefore, they'll in unison go left or right.
First, we're going to go off of the right foot this way. Feet, fire!
Nice early command on this. Makes it sure it goes well.
Fire.
Right.
So they should all go together.
Right.
Particularly when they're all listening.
Fire.
Left. Right.
Come round to left. Go.
Left.
So it should all coordination. Should be a nice step between. Therefore, it should be unison. Out to the 22, and then all the way back. Keeping facing forward all the way back. Keeping the gap between players all the way back. That's the warm-up. Thank you.